Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And a week after announcing his retirement, Wayne Barnes has opened up about the pressures, the abuse, and what comes with being a referee with a very, very eye-opening interview. And has actually revealed that he was close to retiring following the criticism he received from RASSIE ERASMUS last year following the French game. And yeah, it was a very interesting interview, and I think it's something that we need to be very cognizant about. Something we need to take quite seriously, with regards to how we talk about referees and how we talk to referees, and the sort of the general rhetoric and discussions that happen online, in person, and around the world with regarding to officiating. Because at the end of the day, no officiating, no sport, and we all know this, and yet we fail to recognize the impact that certain discussions, certain treatments, certain attitudes that we have towards officials, what that will do to the detriment of the game. And I think Wayne Barnes, being arguably the greatest referee of all time and the record holder for the most experienced referee of all time, is probably best placed to really be able to show and sort of give a bit of an insight as to what it is like to be a referee and just how much it affects them. So before we sort of break down exactly what he means by, almost retiring after the RASSIE ERASMUS criticism, as well as some of the quotes he said, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so in terms of last year, and this is where, things really sort of ramped up for him, and I think probably, where the start at the end began. So the Springboks lost to France last year, 30 points to 26. RASSIE ERASMUS afterwards released a whole bunch of videos on Twitter, now known as X, and about some of the decisions that Wayne Barnes made, or didn't make, in fact. And that sort of triggered a whole barrage of abuse towards Wayne Barnes. And we have to, as much as you love RASSIE ERASMUS, for example, and he has very much changed his ways and changed sort of the way he approaches this for the better. And he's had to admit that he got things wrong. He got this horribly wrong. And it led to a ridiculous amount of online abuse from Wayne Barnes. And, look, it's not to say that RASSIE ERASMUS is the sole reason that all of a sudden there's online abuse. And at the end of the day, very little has been done to curb the online abuse and how easy it is to abuse officials and social media and stuff like that. And that's probably, the real sort of point that we need to focus on. But at the end of the day, this was something that was a bit of sort of a sort of petrol to fire type situation. And he opened up about that whole week, and he said, and this is a quote from his interview with BBC Sport, he said, "Without a doubt, it was a moment where you think, why do we do this?" He says, "You sit down and talk about it and realize there's only 10 months to go until the World Cup, and you don't want the keyboard warriors to win." That is why he didn't hang up his whistle. Apparently, he thought about it. Apparently, he was very close, and he sort of sat there going, "Well, what's the point? My family's getting death threats. I'm getting abused. I've done so much. Why do I need to keep doing this?" And then apparently, so obviously, the World Cup said, "They no, I'm actually gonna knuckle down. I'm gonna try and get through this, and get through the next 10 months and get to the World Cup final." And what's very interesting is that he sort of references football, and I think that's a great, comparison to make, and because we have seen some horrendously vile abuse from match referees, and if you go back and look at some things like Anthony Taylor, for example, who basically had to be escorted through the airport for security, whilst fans were physically trying to sort of almost grab him and stuff like that, it makes you realize that things have gone too far. And Wayne Barnes actually mentioned the incident, and he said, and I quote, "It was hugely sad. That could easily have been me and my family after a game. I remember watching the video of Anthony and I was devastated because you see the human side. People don't see the human side of refereeing. They think we are the man or the woman who turn up on a Saturday afternoon who ruin their day. But we are actually human beings with families and kids, and to see Anthony on that day absolutely broke me. People in positions of responsibility have to realize our actions have consequences. You can't pick up your phone and abuse people. We need to be better." And again, this is a small sort of segment of quotes, and he's damn right. At the end of the day, there needs to be something that, and this is not just for referees, this is for players, this is for everything. But yeah, he spoke about some of the abuse he got, and this is what he basically said. He said, "Threats of sexual violence, threats of saying we know where you live, it crosses the line. Social media is getting worse, and it's the sad thing about sport at the moment. It has not been a one-off. I'm on social media for numerous reasons. One is to promote the charitable work I do and to also promote officiating, to explain what a difficult job it is and to humanize it. I make that choice, and with that choice comes the ability for people to send messages of hate and violence." he said that if you're a fan of your local club and you're sending vile messages to people's families and making threats, why should you be able to get involved in the rugby family? He says that the bit I've always struggled with and will continue to struggle with is when the abuse comes to my family. I want prosecuting agencies to consider ways of doing that. I want legislation of what social media sites can do to prevent it, and I also want governing bodies to consider what they can do. That is a very good point, and we need our sports bodies to start playing a hand. At the end of the day, you can sit there saying, oh well, just rely on the social media companies to do all the work and stuff, but it's not getting done. And so, what can the unions do? And themselves, they can't do much, but they need to be putting pressure on social media companies. They need to be putting pressure on, national bodies who in turn can, again, put pressure on the legal agencies, police to get involved and start trying to identify who these people are and taking action, because it's a long time coming and we really need to get on top of it. So it's a really good interview. I really do recommend going and checking out, especially if you have, and all of us have been guilty at some stage of maybe making a comment here and there on social media and stuff, and I'm not trying to say that if you go and say that I think the referee decision was wrong or that was a poor officiating, that's the same as some of the abuse that's gone on. But it just gives you a bit of insight as to how much that small comment you might make, that throwaway comment that you might make, generally does affect people at the very core of themselves and, is a lot more significant than you might think. So just to sort of make you think twice maybe a bit before making some of those comments. But yeah, what do you think needs to happen? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.